Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 15th, 2025 East Whiteland Township Board of Supervisors. If everyone could stand and give the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone. We'll begin. We've got a number of festivities. We're going to move up some of the items on the agenda, so bear with us as we do that. It's all positive. But I'll start off with board briefings and announce that we had executive sessions on the following days to talk about legal, personnel, and real estate issues. Back on April 7th at 5 p.m. On April 15th, we had a meeting at noontime. And April 15th, we had a meeting at 4:30, again, for legal, personnel, and real estate issues. And our often additional grant award scenario updates as well. Catherine, if you can give us any updates, and then I'll add something to that.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep this brief because the thing that's pertinent to grant updates will appear a little further on your agenda, so I'll update at that time. So I'll just toss it back over to you.
Thank you. As I've been doing in the previous two supervisor meetings, I want to give you an update on the current situation of our pending federal grant application under the tag name that is sometimes read as pork bellies, earmarks, and the official name of it being a community project funding, which was submitted by Congresswoman Houlihan for the Route 30 corridor project this past year. Under this program that she submitted, that we submitted an application and then she submitted further for us, is an amount of about $264 million was destined for Pennsylvania for the fiscal year 2025 for 263 mostly infrastructure projects. Unfortunately, the Congresswoman's office updated me a short time ago, and a major journalist piece appeared on the Philadelphia Inquirer last week to give you a recap here that our application request for $8 million was vetted under the underwriting criteria and approved by the Bipartisan Appropriations Committee for a reduced amount of $3 million. However, we've been caught in the chainsaw carnage and the funding per the Inquirer article. The funding for all projects has vanished, leaving the future of the funding for bridges, roadways, homeless shelters, and stormwater projects in Pennsylvania and nationwide uncertain. Hoping I have your attention, I'd like to ask you to reach out to your representatives on the federal level and contact them and ask them to restore this funding that was approved back in 2024 by a bipartisan appropriations committee. So that would mean contacting Fetterman's office, McCormick, and please voice your opinion to these folks. You can make a difference on this project. Houlihan, she's already working on our behalf, but I'm sure she would enjoy hearing from you. But to be more specific, what impact does this have on us? One, while we already have $5.2 million in-house with grant funding, the full cost would have been covered by this promised additional funding that Christine Houlihan was promoting for us. Two, we're we're proceeding on the improvements at 352 and 30. It will be delayed somewhat because of this, and also the Phase 2 portion is going to be somewhat diminished, perhaps moved off to a later date, which could potentially impact the traffic at two different occasions when we do the work, rather than trying to combine the work all at one time. We will continue to work with our grant consultants and state and local representatives to secure additional grant funding going forward, and hope that we can end up finding the additional money and move forward and try to consolidate Phase 1 and Phase 2 and get it done as soon as possible. But again, you reaching out to your representatives and voicing your opinion on this, I think, is very important. And to give you another idea of this $3 million of this funding, it represents about $215 per resident in the township, to put it to a dollar and cent standpoint.
Was that amount more earmarked for construction? Do we have money still for the initial design at least, or not?
Of the 5.1 million that we have right now, we've got design work and engineering. So, and that that project should be going out to bid probably 3 months, 4 months, a little bit longer. The project will move forward, but it would have been, again, a lot more helpful with the $3 million that was earmarked for us. Anyway, that's the update on that. Hopefully, the next time we talk about it, it'll be saying, "Hey, we got the additional funding." So thanks for letting me rant. This is an important project for everybody, and the amount of effort that's been put into this is far-reaching. We'll move to Parks and Rec without Larry on the Zoom.
I can share on his.
That's so.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's all right. I'm sure Larry would say this much better than I'm going to, but bear with me here. So we do have a few events coming up. This Saturday at Immaculata is our annual egg hunt. This is our second year doing it. It was very successful last year. So if you came last year, then you'll reflect it on the flyer. So just encouraging people to go and look online. And so that's for the egg hunt. And then also coming up on April 26th is our first bird walk, which will be held at Valley Creek Park from 10 to 12. This is a kid-friendly, first-time birding friendly. If you're curious about it, you do not need to be experienced by any means. So they'll be meeting at the pavilion. Hopefully there'll be some good weather for that. That's it.
Just real quick. We're broadcasting live.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Catherine, or Zach, who will get the emails, like, of the people falling off the Zoom? Because I'm sure they may be emailing, "Hey, I fell off the Zoom. How can I watch this?" Will either of you get those, or is that kind of lost because Donna's not
I just
here?
got an email from
Okay.
Carol, so I'll email her back and
So
let her know.
she could watch
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah.
And Catherine, you're still up in the batter's box with the MS the plastic bag ordinance update.
The Environmental Advisory Council is going to be hosting an information session on April 28th. This will be held here in this room at 5:30 p.m. This is an information session targeted at business owners and managers. Topics that'll be covered is there'll be representatives here from other municipalities that have passed plastic bag ban ordinances, and also business owners from those communities to share how they navigated the changes, what types of bags or other materials they're using since the ordinances have been passed. And there is a survey that we're really hoping that our business community will take. It's on the website as well. There's a QR code. There's some really important feedback that we need that's going to be formative in shaping what the ordinance looks like. So we invite all of our business owners to take that survey. It was also directly sent out to businesses for which we have contact information. Unfortunately, we don't have all the contact information. So if you see it on our website or on social media, please feel free to do that. It's going to be open for another 45 days. So that's that one. Would you like me to roll right into the next one? Or are there any
I'll just add
comments on
again, the public is more than welcome to come in and input. I reached out to the store manager at Giant and also with Wegmans, so they've been invited personally. So hopefully we'll have a lot of feedback. This ordinance is going to be crafted a lot by not only what exists out there, but also from the input from everyone involved. So again, please come out and voice your opinion. All right, moving on, Catherine.
Thank you. Yeah, so on the MS4 front, so the township has revised its pollutant reduction plan. This is an integral component of our MS4 permit, and it's aimed at reducing impairments, which are primarily sediment in our streams. The township did previously adopt a PRP, as we call it, pollutant reduction plan, but changes were made from what was originally approved, so DEP does require that the township readopt the new plan. And so just to remind the board and the public, the elements of that pollutant reduction plan essentially are stream bank restoration, both here on township property, across the street at Ecology Park, and also in Valley Creek Park. We're very near to getting our DEP permit and putting this project out to bid, which is required to be started by June. And so this is the last piece of the puzzle to offer the public the opportunity to give feedback. There's a hard copy of the PRP, which is in the lobby if anyone would like to look at it, and it's also posted on the township website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, Zach, if you can kind of give us an update on the Route 30 improvements and zoning ordinance update from the last meeting we had.
Sure. So 2 Mondays ago on the 31st of March, we had a joint meeting of the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, excuse me, to discuss some of the zoning considerations related to Route 30, as well as provide an update on the transportation improvements. Previous plans, like the Route 30 corridor study, called for a 5-lane cross-section along the entire stretch of Route 30. We've since right-sized that approach to focus on some of the key intersections like Church and 352 and Route 30. So we walked through that. We talked a little bit about, kind of revisited some of the recommendations from the Route 30 corridor study, how to go about creating a better interface between the roadway and the setbacks and the streetscape, and how that impacts private properties. We went through a list of kind of commercial uses and talked a little bit about some different possibilities to introduce new uses along the corridor, especially related to things like entertainment uses and cultural uses. And we talked briefly about introducing some degree of residential development along the corridor. It's pretty clear with the group that while open to some degree of residential development to have to support commercial development and encourage redevelopment, should really be limited to smaller scale, not as tall, not as many units at a time, smaller building footprints. So we're going to come back to the board with some different options to consider. Certainly nothing final at this point. We just want to have some different things to consider with a little more detail than what was presented at the meeting. So we'll be back to the board in the future. We thought the joint meeting worked really well, so we'll probably use that format going forward. In terms of the transportation improvements, As I said, we're kind of right-sizing that approach based on some of the feedback we've got from funding agencies and our, I'll say our regional agencies. We do intend to do a more detailed presentation to the board this spring and summer, do some property owner outreach. I know Mr. Mahler's in the audience. He's been at previous meetings and had some questions about how it might impact some of the improvements along the front of his property on Church Road. We have been able to kind of make some adjustments, so I think you'll like the latest version of the plan, which kind of pulls it away from your property a little bit. We're able to make some adjustments sort of along that stretch. So we'll be reaching out to property owners directly in the coming weeks and months, and we'll proceed from there. So I want to just kind of give that high-level overview.
Okay, great. And any questions from the audience? If you could come up and talk into our famous mic that may or may not be working.
Good evening. Tony Mahler, 17 Church Road. As Zachary had just mentioned, I have a property that's on the historical registry for the township, and I was originally going to be affected by the widening of Route 30. Is it working? Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Excuse me.
So is that the good or the bad or the ugly you call them?
Sirius XM. All right, sorry about that. So my name is Tony Mahler. I reside on Church Road, and was at one point going to be impacted by the widening of Church Road. Zach, the only question I had for you is I'm actually registered as an in-home office at my house. Would that zoning be affected or changed?
No, so it's just are you like a owner operator? Just is
Yeah, it's
are there any
an
other-
in-home office, basically. It's not outside clientele.
Yeah, no, that shouldn't impact anything. We're not looking to do major changes that would affect that in any way, and that probably is categorized as a home-based or low-impact business.
Yeah,
so,
it's. I think I'm R1,
yeah.
correct?
No, shouldn't be any issues with that. Most of what we're looking at is truly the areas along Route 30 and just kind of trying to find some places to intermix different types of uses.
The other quick question I had was, as far as the utilities, is this something where they're going to have to, when everything's widened, are they going to be moving everything in, or are they going to underground utilities versus the telephone poles?
Yeah, so like with most of our projects, we do factor in utility pole relocation. We're not currently proposing to bury any utilities. So if there is a utility pole in your vicinity, it will likely just be shifted, if at all.
Yeah, well,
Not buried.
I don't have an effect. I mean, I'm not affected by that. I was just curious as far as along Route 30 and possibly where the widening was going down Church Road, if that was going to go to underground utilities.
Now, the plan at this point is to relocate existing utility poles.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. I'd like to turn the program over to Greg Lewis to kind of recognize some positive activity from his department in the last month and a new hire. So, Greg, I'll let you take
Thank you.
control.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to highlight a cardiac arrest save from back in February. On Friday evening, February 14th, in the early evening hours, the East Whiteland Fire Department, along with the East Whiteland Police Department and a paramedic unit from the KOE Fire Company, the medic unit that's stationed at Atwater at Echo Lake, were dispatched to the Desmond on Liberty Boulevard for a cardiac arrest. East Whiteland Fire and EMS units arrived simultaneously with the East Whiteland Police Department, and officers Albany and Spencer made first patient contact and initiated CPR on an early 50s male that was in cardiac arrest. Shortly after that, our ambulance and squad crew arrived, placed an AED on the patient, and took over CPR. Approximately 20 seconds after the AED powered up, a shock was advised. Our crew shocked the patient, and the patient responded to spontaneous circulation right away. KOE's medic unit arrived shortly thereafter, continued ALS care to the patient. Prior to transport to KOE Hospital, the patient was awake, talking to the crew members and the family members. The patient was subsequently transported to KOE Hospital for further care and evaluation. So what I would like to do is we have most of the crew that was on that call that evening. So as I call your name, if you could come on up. Certificate for you. Officer John Albany. Officer Cameron Spencer. Captain Lauren Nafsinger. Firefighter EMT Cody Gable. He's currently on an ambulance. Firefighter EMT Brian Hughes. Firefighter EMT Vincent Lanning. EMS Captain Nick Melchior. Not here tonight is firefighter EMT Brian Garver. Paoli paramedic Timothy Work. And also not here tonight is previous EMS Captain Mike Pisano. Just to highlight the teamwork between all the agencies involved that night, between the police department, fire and EMS, and the paramedic from Paoli Fire Company is what led this to a positive outcome. So good job to all.
Can I make a quick comment too? I can say that I watched all the body cam footage from that night, and I was just super impressed that, I mean, when you watch the body cam, you can see them running, and I mean, I know our guys, I don't know how you guys got upstairs, but our guys ran, you know, all the way in from the parking lot, up 4 flights of stairs, and went in and like dove on this guy immediately. So when you watch that, and then, you know, once everybody got there and you watched them walk, it truly is amazing. And, you know, it's very clear that they saved this person's life. You know, his wife was there, and, you know, she was devastated, and she got to walk home or go home with that good outcome. So congratulations to everyone.
I don't know what to say other than, wow, great job, guys. I mean, we're proud of you. We really am. I'll also say that I know the team reached out to the patient to perhaps come and be part of this presentation, but wasn't able to make it. So, again, I know from my standpoint, great job. Thank you again. Any comments from Peter, Rich, or?
We're very proud of the capabilities of our police, fire, EMS, and the adjacent municipalities who all joined together to work together.
Yes, congratulations on the continued standard of excellence you guys always put out there every day. Thank you.
Okay. And I'll leave it up to you to finish with a new appointment for EMT.
Thanks again, Mr. Chair. Recently, we had a full-time vacancy within our department. So we posted that internally. We had 2 internal candidates that applied for that position. We did interviews, and we were proud to make the recommendation of Daniel Caldwell. Some background on Daniel Caldwell. He comes full-time to us from the Goshen Fire Company, and he's previously a volunteer with the Collingdale Fire Company. Comes with a lot of experience. He worked with us for several months part-time. We're happy to have him on board. He's been assigned to the C platoon under the direction of Captain Bechtel, and he had his first full-time day on early this month. I ask you now if you want to go ahead and ratify it.
Sure. Rich, I'll give you the honors.
Make a motion to ratify the appointment of firefighter EMT Daniel Caldwell
Second
to
that?
a
I'll second that.
full-time firefighter EM position.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it's approved. Welcome aboard.
Just with Daniel tonight, he has his wife Carrie and his 3 children, Jameson.
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate your gratification. Very happy to be here. Looking forward to the next 24 years, 11 months, please.
Well, welcome aboard.
We'll hold you to that.
And Daniel, when you retire, you'll see 3 different faces than what's here. Greg, would you like to bring everybody up here for a group shot? To commemorate this?
Everybody. All right, ready? Is everybody in? Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right, one more. Good job. Thank you.
All right. Moving on, those that are following, we're on board briefings and moving into letter H. Steve Brown will comment on this item.
Thank you, Scott. April 26th is Celebrate Trails Day. It's a nationwide effort. It's done annually on the 4th Saturday in April, and the national partners are Rails to Trails Conservancy, and it's a day dedicated to inviting everyone outside to experience paths and trails in their neighborhood. In our Philadelphia region, we're blessed with over 415 miles of trails and multi-use trails. There are a number of events in our area, but the one that is closest to everyone is in Exton Park. It's being hosted by Chester County Parks and Preservation, and it's an event highlighting adaptive trail use. This event takes place again on April 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Exton Trailhead. It's an inclusive celebration where there will be a number of vendors, food trucks, and fun activities for the family to enjoy. I also, even though this is not on the agenda, I want to mention that similar and also involving trails, there's an annual event that is also local in May. It's Bike to Work. This is also a national event. Locally, the TMAC organization, which is the Transportation Management Association of Chester County, hosts this event. You can check their website, tmacc.org for details. But the Bike to Work Day is Thursday, May 15th, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., and there are 2 locations where groups will be shoving off to enjoy the ride to work that day. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Moving on to the board motions and resolutions. John, there you are.
Yep. You got
Line
it back
to
in
you.
your spot, Chris.
If you can give us an update on the Arley grant.
Yes, we are asking for,
Now you need, now you have a halo over your head.
we are asking for approval to submit an application for an Arley grant for pedestrian improvements at the intersections of West Liberty Boulevard and Old Moore Hall and Liberty Boulevard and Route 29. That area has really gotten very busy with the Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, and office buildings with pedestrian traffic, and we need to upgrade those intersections for safety.
How soon could that grant, or when is that grant being awarded?
Applications are due in June, so it'll be an end-of-the-year
End of the
award,
year.
next year project.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Now,
Peter?
this is also a no-match grant.
Nice.
Right.
Good.
That's even better.
Any questions from the public? Seeing none. Peter, would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for the Arley grant for the intersections of West Liberty Boulevard and Old Moore Hall and West Liberty Boulevard and Route 29.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes. Moving on to B. Catherine, we're back to grants.
Back to grants.
Where we started.
So we've been talking about this grant for a few months now, and the time's finally come. This is the resolution to authorize the application. Just a reminder of the scope of work. This is a PA Small Water and Sewer grant. It is for stormwater-related projects on Old Lincoln Highway and in General Warren Village, on Spring Road and Village Way, for a combination of cured-in-place pipe relining and some full replacement where it's needed, where the pipes are just too corroded. This is approximately $500,000 that we're requesting, which is the max for this program. It does require a 15% match, so with your authorization of the application, you're authorizing the township's required match for that and also the application for the program.
I think we can do that. Again, any questions? Seeing none. Rich, would you like to make a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 17-2025 to apply for a Pennsylvania Small Water Grant for stormwater projects.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and passes. Okay. Moving on, Catherine and I will tag team the Open Space Committee appointments. As we move into this, if you recall, we're a community that has a fair amount of open space, not a substantial amount, but a fair amount. A lot of it is contaminated. It makes trying to acquire property and retiring it difficult. We are in always competition with developers who are looking to purchase it and have a tendency to be able to spend more money than what the municipal law allows us. We can only pay for property that is appraised at a certain dollar amount. So it's been a challenge a long time coming, but we were fortunate that we had the community support back in November to pass an open space tax referendum that would allow us a war chest to purchase property And part of that ordinance and state requirements is that we put together a committee of residents to help guide us and identify and create criteria for the purchasing power. It's an actual program that is a spin-off from a 2018 program called the PROS Committee, where we had started this process about open space conservation and plan designs back then. But the other point I'd like to add is that this committee had an overwhelming amount of applicants looking to help out and be involved, which was really, really nice to see, the involvement from everyone. We had 15 applicants for a position of 7 seats, which is a lot compared to what we see in other committees. And on top of it, every person that applied was spectacular. They were just very good, smart, really committed, and so the choice was made difficult from that. But the good thing I have to say is that if we've made a mistake in choosing one person, we didn't. There's just, again, it's just so many great people. And so we had to narrow it down to 7 people again, which was difficult. But so I guess that's, Catherine, if there's other things that you want to add to it.
I think that summarizes it really well. I would just note one thing that's unique about the first appointments, that they are shorter terms because that's what the ordinance prescribes. So when we transition to that point where the appointments are made, you'll notice those terms are shorter than you would expect to typically see because this is the inaugural committee.
Okay. So at this point in time, I'm going to make a motion to appoint the following individuals to the Open Space Committee with the following terms. Carol Rapp, who is currently a member of the Park and Recreation Committee. Her term would run through December of 2027. John Laumer, Planning Commission representative. His term on the Open Space Committee would run through also December of 2027. Pat McDonald, the EAC representative, her term here would run through December of 2027. Drew Jacobs, an at-large resident whose term would run through December of 2026. Tom Curran, appointment through December of 2025. Janet Shear, her term would run through December of 2026. And Tim Phelps, whose term would run through December of 2025. If there's any questions pertaining to that? If not, any questions from the board?
None. That looks good.
Peter, would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Open Space Committee appointees as read by Scott.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and passes. Also, I would like to announce to the public as well their opportunity to attend the first committee meeting, which will be held this Thursday at April 17th here at the Township Building at 5 p.m. Okay. Thank you. Zach, I'll turn it over to you regarding the transportation improvement inventory.
Sure. So this is the county's transportation improvements inventory. It's a biennial sort of survey where municipalities can submit transportation projects for the county to consider as part of their requests and prioritization through the regional TIP program. So basically, we have a list of projects. We submit it to them. They put it through their secret formula and determine which ones make their way onto some of the regional lists for funding and prioritization. So basically, you have a list, you update every 2 years on like the status of it, the anticipated costs of it, and your prioritization. Our list is pretty long. We have a lot of roads, as we well know. We updated it pretty comprehensively in 2019 after our Act 209 traffic impact study. And we updated it pretty comprehensively in 2023 after we started really aggressively pursuing funding for projects. So I don't intend to go through this whole thing tonight. You can see there's quite a few on here. But what I did want to just hopscotch through, not that anybody can read this, it's just some of the ones that we kind of changed the status of. So really quickly, there's one that's noted as US 30 from 202 to Malin Road. That's the widened to 5 lanes. That was the original plan for Route 30. We are shifting that from active underway, which we listed in 2023 when we were actively pursuing that road profile, to inactive keep with a medium priority, because we are initiating some, I'll say, interim improvements at the intersections that are set up to not preclude these 5 lanes, but it's not with that same exact scope in mind. So we'll keep it on the list, of course, but we've kind of shifted the focus of those improvements in recent years. East Whiteland train station, we've made this inactive keep, maintained that and made it a medium priority. That would be it's a big lift. There's a lot of traffic improvements, a lot of railway improvements, likely something, as the study outlined, would maybe it would happen over at Immaculata, but it would really require a lot of public-private partnership. So something that we're still interested in pursuing if the right opportunity arises, but not something we're actively pursuing at this time at the township level. Some others here related to bicycle and pedestrian. We've kind of shifted some of the priorities downward because of some of the other projects we've been working on elsewhere. These are some of the improvements along 29, some of which are being partially implemented by developers at this time, the new Gray Star and Philly Suburban projects. And the Route 352 pedestrian improvements, this is improvements under the underpass of the railroads. We've taken this from a high to a medium priority, just because we're not actively producing it, but certainly something we want to see happen. Similar, the flat road trail. So there's a trail proposed that would run along the stretch of flat road on the sort of the back half of the corporate center. That is a low priority now, mostly just based on priorities elsewhere. So something we still want to pursue, but not actively at this moment. Warren Avenue Culvert, we are updating this to be a completed project, thanks to John Neode and his crack team. Let's see. US 30 Plainbrook, this is inactive keep. This is what constitutes essentially phase 2 of the Route 30 improvements. We're still maintaining that as a high priority because it's something we're actively working on. Sweetsford Road and Mill Lane, we're shifting this from active underway, which is what we noted it as when the school district was working on some very minor improvements there. This is an inactive keep, but a high priority, as some of these are related to safety, not just capacity improvements and things like that. And that's the extent of it. So the county has asked us to provide them with any comments. What's not shown on the list here is all the rows about costs for right-of-way construction and design and things like that. It's a very large spreadsheet. So we'll update all of those things unless anybody has any questions or preferences, and we'll go from there.
I have none.
Could there be a link maybe put out there on the website for people to review this?
Sure. Yeah, once we clean it all
Clean it
up
up.
and get it submitted, yeah, we can certainly make this available, just to kind of show what our priorities
Yeah,
are.
for anybody that might be living along those roads, just
Sure.
to have an idea of what's going on.
Yeah,
when the
and one thing
improvements
that's,
begin.
I think it's a good idea, and I would say one thing, this is just really getting our foot in the door. Doesn't mean they'll happen, doesn't mean they'll even be listed on the regional tip, but it's the first step towards that. So, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Thanks, Zach. Any questions? No. Under board motions, under E and F, I'm going to turn the program over to Bernadette Kearney. And
Yes.
I'll let you lead on this one.
So yes, you may have recalled at the last in the March meeting, we had asked you to authorize the condemnation for temporary construction easements for two properties, 286 Phoenixville Pike and 288 Phoenixville Pike. We had reached out to the homeowners, hoping not to have to go through the condemnation, but that didn't occur, and this project is getting ready. So these are what we're asking for you to authorize are the actual resolutions for condemnation that we will attach to the condemnation filings in court. And again, if the homeowners do reach out, we can work through it and not go through the condemnation procedure. But again, these are two temporary construction easements. Basically, we need some space to perform the construction.
One point that I would like to bring to everyone's attention is that I know that Catherine and staff had actually visited the property, the homeowners, on numerous occasions, trying to resolve this and talk things through, and unfortunately it's come down to this at this point in time. It's not the direction that we would have liked to seen this happen to, but it is what we need to do at this point for this project to continue and to be on time. As I mentioned the last time, that this work will be done during the summer prior to school season beginning, so that the road congestion with school buses would not be impacted by this project. So we're on a tight time frame and schedule.
Yes.
Any comments from the public? Again, if you can come up and talk into the mic so we can.
I'm just curious as far as where these locations were and what the construction that's being done.
The actual properties are on Phoenixville Pike. This is the intersection of Phoenixville and Sidley Road. And
Okay.
I think Catherine could explain more where we are in the process of I think we put this out to bid.
Yeah. Yep, this is a joint project between Charlestown Township and East Whiteland. And so it's to make intersection improvements to the Phoenixville-Sidley Pike intersection. The other side is Yellow Springs.
Yes.
That's in Charlestown Township, so if you're familiar with it, to add left turn lanes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious what the construction was.
Yeah, yep, and also ADA improvements at the intersection.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Peter, Rich, any other?
No.
I have no questions now.
Yes, we just asked for both resolutions to be authorized.
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize Resolution 18-2025, condemnation for temporary construction easement at 286 Phoenixville Pike, and Resolution 19-2025, same type of condemnation for temporary construction easement, this one for 288 Phoenixville Pike.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And passes. Moving on, John, if you can
Sir.
go through the change order.
Right, this is a change order on the Warren Avenue Culvert Project for $17,189. This was basically repairing the road and the driveway because the structure that was out there was much larger underground than what was anticipated. So it caused a lot more road repair, and same with the driveway where we had to replace existing pipe. And part of this is also the job's done, so we're going for the final payment. The total that includes this change order is $93,994.15, and that closes the job out. So.
And I would assume that the 17,186 is not underneath the initial grant that we ended up receiving.
That wasn't a grant project, that was some of the.
ARP money?
Right,
ARPA
some of
money?
that was partially funded that way, and the rest was township money.
Okay. Great.
I'll make a motion to approve payment of the change order in the amount of $17,189, and to approve the final payment to Uric Incorporated in the amount of $93,994.15.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And is approved.
Thank you.
Okay, we move into public hearings. Bernadette,
Yes.
if you would, and Catherine assisting.
Probably Catherine and Zachary. Just want to make sure our court reporter is ready. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Before we start, one thing, did you table the
Oh.
one item? I think it just needs to be mentioned that it's tabled first, sorry.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yep.
Under your agenda 3I, we would like to table this particular item to a later date for circumstances that we are not responsible for. Thank you for picking that up.
Yes. What we're going to do is have, as you'll see on the agenda, 3 public hearings for zoning ordinance amendments. So the first one is the conditional use submission requirements. So I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm going to read the title of the ordinance. It's an ordinance of the Township of East Whiteland, amending Section 200-109 entitled Conditional Uses to require additional documentation to be submitted with applications for a conditional use. And the following are the exhibits. B1, the March 14th, 2025 filing with the Chester County Planning Commission. B2, the March 14th, 2025 email to the East Whiteland Township Planning Commission. B3, the March 27th, 2025 email and letter to the Daily Local with the legal notice and proposed ordinance. B4, the March 27th, 2025 email and letter to the Law Library with copy of attested proposed ordinance. B5, the April 10th, 2025 review letter from the Chester County Planning Commission. B6, the proof of publication, and B7, the proposed ordinance. And this ordinance came about because the Board of Supervisors wanted further information when conditional use applications were filed. So it sets forth certain documents that should be included, narrative descriptions, documents like conservation plans, the site plan, the environmental impact assessment. So it lays out what should be provided when a conditional use application is filed. And staff thought that this would better prepare the Board of Supervisors to make decisions at conditional use hearings. I don't know if anyone had specific questions.
No, I know we went into details with it the last time, but just on the summary wise, there are often times where we get conditional use hearings come our way where we get sometimes bits and pieces, and it's better to look at the overall plan initially on a comprehensive basis to help us guide us from step one rather than having to go 2 steps forward and then 1 step back. And also any of the developers that are involved with the program understand what needs to be done right up front so that they can prepare for it. So I think this is a benefit for everyone that's involved. And again, I want to thank you guys for putting this together and making these changes. I know it'll be helpful from my standpoint.
And if the board, any other board members have any comments or questions?
I have no comments.
Same. Covered last.
Anyone in the audience have any questions? Seeing none, and I'm assuming we are not, no Zoom came back, okay. At this point, then I would close this public hearing, and we go back to the public meeting, and we're going to vote on each one after the public hearing. So I'd ask for a motion to approve the proposed ordinance and entitled, "The Ordinance of the Township of East Whiteland, amending Section 200-109, entitled Conditional Uses to require additional documentation to be submitted with applications for a conditional use."
Okay. Rich, I see you got it open. Would you like to make a motion?
Motion made as described by the township solicitor.
Do I have a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it passes.
Thank you. That's the first ordinance. The second ordinance that's listed on the agenda, this has a much longer title, so bear with me. This is an ordinance of the Township of East Whiteland amending Section 200-14 entitled Terms Defined to clarify various existing defined terms and to add additional defined terms. Amending Section 200-90 entitled General Regulations for Accessory Uses to add a new subsection B10, which shall make warehouse an accessory use in the O/BP, O/BPS 1 and FC districts. Amending Section 200-41 entitled Permitted Uses for Industrial Districts and Section 200 Attachment 8 entitled Table of Permitted Uses for Industrial Districts. To 1, remove extraneous uses from the Table of Permitted Uses for Industrial Districts. Remove warehousing and distributing, including storage for personal household use, from the list of permitted uses for industrial districts. 3, show warehouse, accessory, self-service storage facility, and storage facility as permitted uses. 4, remove accessory office uses from the list of permitted uses for industrial districts. And 5, show office as a permitted use. Amending Section 200-30 entitled Permitted Uses for Mixed-Use Districts and Section 200 Attachment 6 entitled Table of Permitted Uses for Mixed-Use Districts to allow, 1, to allow medical office or clinical/medical clinic and specialty hospital in the O/BP and O/BPS districts as permitted uses. 2, remove warehousing and distributing from the list of permitted uses in the O, BP, and GVR districts. And 3, show that warehouse accessory shall be a permitted use in the O/BP, O/BPS, GVR, and FC districts. And to mark a series of exhibits. B1 is the March 14, 2025 filing with the Chester County Planning Commission. B2, the March 14, 2025 email to the East Whiteland Township Planning Commission. B3, March 27, 2025 email and letter to the Daily Local with the legal notice and proposed ordinance. B4, the March 27, 2025 email and letter to the Law Library with a copy of the attested proposed ordinance. B5, the April 11, 2025 review letter from the Chester County Planning Commission. B6, the proof of publication, and B7, the proposed ordinance. That title is very long and very detailed. I think Zach explained this a lot at the last meeting, is we took a look at a lot of the uses that are in the different districts and sort of updated it. The ordinance hadn't been updated in a while. We really took a look at warehouse, distribution, self-storage, things of that nature, and kind of put them where they should be located, took them out of certain places, recognized that certain office uses and accessory uses and storage facilities, things like that, where they should go, where we think they would be appropriately located. But if you had specific questions, I think we can go through those.
And I think just in summary, it's an ordinance where kind of reflects the vision and the infrastructure that's more appropriate by both the members of the board as well as the staff to make improvements to what was existing out there in terms of the ordinance. So another, I think, a positive step moving forward. Peter, would you like to take a shot at it or want to give it to Rich?
Oh, let's ask if anybody in the audience has any questions.
Any questions?
Okay, seeing none? Yes, I'll turn it over. If you have none, we can close the public hearing.
I have no comments.
No questions.
Then we would close the public hearing, go back to the public meeting, and we can make a motion to adopt the proposed ordinance as I had read the title prior.
Oh, you want me to do that? Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve the title as read by our solicitor, Burnett Kearney, as read prior.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And has passed.
And then we'll go to the third public hearing. As indicated on the agenda, this is the establishment of the Logistics and Fulfillment Center Overlay, LFCO District. And I'm going to read the title of the ordinance. This is an ordinance of the Township of East Whiteland, creating a new section 200-39.5 entitled LFCO Logistics and Fulfillment Center Overlay District, to establish appropriate locations for the siting and development of logistics and fulfillment centers, revising Section 200-30 entitled Permitted Uses for Mixed-Use Districts, amending Section 200, Attachment 6, entitled Table of Permitted Uses for Mixed-Use Districts, to provide for locations for the new LFCO Logistics and Fulfillment Center Overlay District, and to show logistics and fulfillment centers as a permitted use by conditional use, and amending the zoning map of East Whiteland Township to add properties identified as Chester County UPI numbers 42-2-8, 42-2-8.1, and 42-2-8.2 to the LFCO Logistics and Fulfillment Center Overlay District. I'm going to mark a series of exhibits. B1 will be the March 14th, 2025 filing with the Chester County Planning Commission. B2 will be the March 14th, 2025 email to the East Whiteland Township Planning Commission. B3, the March 27, 2025 email and letter to the Daily Local with the legal notice and proposed ordinance. B4, the March 27, 2025 email and letter to the Law Library with copy of the attested proposed ordinance. B5, the March 14, 2025 notice to property owners of the legal notice and a copy of the proposed ordinance were sent to them via first-class mail and certified mail, which included the date of the public hearing and meeting on this proposed ordinance. B6 is the April 11, 2025 review letter from the Chester County Planning Commission. B7 was the posting of the properties. B8, the proof of publication, and B9, the proposed ordinance. And again, as indicated at the last meeting, this is to allow what we're calling the LFCO, the Logistics and Fulfillment Center Overlay District, to be located in a certain portion of the township on the properties mentioned. As I think Scott has mentioned the last public hearing, this is to fulfill the desires of the township to where to locate these types of uses, and continue on our path of updating the zoning ordinance.
And to do it on a prospective basis rather than reacting to anything that may be occurring that doesn't quite fit in where it should. So, Rich, you want to, again, any questions from the public?
If there are no questions, I would close the public hearing, go back to the public meeting, and ask for a vote on the proposed ordinance.
Okay. May I have a motion, Rich?
Motion to approve the ordinance for the establishment of a logistics and fulfillment center overlay district as read by Township Solicitor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and passes.
Thank you.
I think going forward on these big, long names, we should have the ordinance number already established so we can just reference those, because you wouldn't believe how thick this is. Anyway. John Yield, I guess you are up with some information on awarding the paving project.
Yes. We had our bid opening on March 28th. We had 6 bidders. The low bidder was Heidelberg Materials Northeast for $589,123.45. Second bid was only $3,500 more. Third bid was about $20,000 more. So we're very happy with the prices.
Have we used Heidelberg before?
They used to be Highway Materials. They were bought last year. They paid for us last year. So.
And for the public's edification, that most of this or all of this is funded by our liquid fuels tax that we get from the state, correct?
Yeah, this project $550,000 is funded by the state. We have $39,000 that are on 2 tiny roads that aren't eligible for liquid fuels funding.
Okay, that's good. Peter, would you like to make a motion to award it?
Yeah, yes, I would. Thank you. I would like to make a motion to award the 2025 paving projects to Heidelberg Materials Northeast for the amount of $589,123.45.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And passes.
Thank you.
John, when might that start?
Well, this process starts contracts. That's normally about a month, and then it's up to their schedule, but we're hoping in June,
Okay.
somewhere around that range.
Roughly June.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. Moving on to Section 6 with the planning and development, I'll turn it over to Zach Barner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This first item is to consider rendering a decision on the following applications. This is land development number 9 of 2024 for Workspace. It's an industrial building at 5565 Valley Stream Parkway. It's a redevelopment project, 2 existing office buildings. Drafted an approval resolution. There's a couple of, there's a number of standard conditions about returning for final and things like tapping fees. And then there are also some conditions that are specific to the project about returning with a little more information during the time of final, providing some architecturals and some adjustments based on what the ultimate user may be, or users. One thing of note in the waiver section, there's a number of waivers that were reviewed, I believe, last month. One of those, staff are requesting that waiver, which is a requirement to provide a sound and vibration study, be deferred until final, simply because the user is not known. Basically, we just don't know enough about that specific user just yet. It may be that it's perfectly fine and compatible and consistent with what's around it, but we'd like to have the opportunity to have more information on that at the time of final.
Agreed.
So with this resolution drafted, it's in a position to be acted upon. I believe the applicant's counsel is here to answer any questions, and their engineer if need be, but I think it's ready to be voted upon if the board is willing.
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions either.
Same time.
So at this point in time, Rich, would you like to make a motion on this?
The resolution has been sent to and approved by the applicant already, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Motion to approve the preliminary plan for LD 09-2024 for Workspace Industrial Building at 55 and 65 Valley Stream Parkway.
Second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes.
Yes, sir. This next item is to review and consider authorizing solicitor to draft a resolution for the following applications. This is land development number 6 for the Sai Temple Worship Center. This is our preliminary/final plan. And I believe the applicant's engineer and the applicant are here to provide sort of an update to the board. If the board feels generally comfortable, we could initiate drafting of a resolution. I would note that there are some comments in the review letters that should be addressed, but I won't preempt the applicant here. They'll walk through in as much detail as you like, and then we can circle back to more of the procedural aspects after.
Yeah, my only question, the land development plan, that's just the site itself. Do you have any elevations to show the building? We haven't seen that, what it'll look like. Do you have any?
We did not bring that here tonight. We
No.
done it before for the DHB meeting. I'm so loud. But anyway, sorry about that. I'm Greg Noel with Nave Noel. I'm sorry, Mr. Orlow, we had not brought that, we had it before, during the zoning hearing process, we had to get the special exception.
Right.
And nothing has changed then. I was thinking we had showed it back then to the board, but sorry about that.
You did not.
Don't remember, no.
You know, you want to, Raj, just give a general idea? I mean, it's not anything unusual. It's a two-story building. It's rectangular in shape. We haven't finalized it. It is not anything that kind of jumps off the page, but it's not utilitarian either.
Right. Who's the architect? Who's it? Okay. Yeah, I don't know the name. So the request tonight is approved drafting a resolution. It's not an approval of land development.
Correct, yeah, we thought the applicant could walk through the plan to the extent that you would like some details on what's being proposed. If you'd like to discuss any of the comments or review letters, that's fine. I think a round of resubmissions is probably in order based on some of the road improvements in the Bowman letter especially. But I'll give it to Greg to walk through anything that he thinks worth noting.
No, yeah, I want to speak about the road improvements and the widening or asking for not widening the roads and why that would be.
So I'll give you just quick background on it. Just if everybody's familiar, this is the old Township maintenance building.
Sure.
That's been unoccupied from a township perspective for quite a while, but has been used by the temple and is actively used by the temple right now for worship.
Right.
We're demoing that. There's an old office building on the corner. That office building comes down. There are two existing houses in the rear. Those remain. Those will be living quarters for their priests and for their activities there. There's a couple of buildings on the northern side. They'll all come down. So we're starting all over and cleaning up the whole site. You can see a couple things that we talked about, helping with connectivity from a sidewalk perspective. We have sidewalks along both frontages, both Plainbrook and along Prospect. Then one of the big things that came up during the Planning Commission meeting, you may be familiar with the old firehouses across the street,
Sure.
owned by the temple.
Sure.
Our parking spaces out on Prospect Avenue. We agreed to eliminate those spaces.
Right.
So that will eliminate those spaces along there, and that'll be grass. And then we have the two entrances along both, one on Prospect and one out on Plainbrook. You have the typical gamut of stormwater management related stuff and so forth, and improvements there. In regards to the roadway stuff, we've actually reached full agreement with Mr. Williams on widening and so forth. We're widening along Plainbrook, and then we're also widening along Prospect. The fire marshal had some questions about there's a in between.
What was the agreement of what you were widening to?
John, what was it? 14 feet? 14 feet all the way around. So we're providing that widening all the way around. Was an issue about additional right-of-way that is on our waiver list. Technically, Plainbrook requires a 70-foot right-of-way, but in discussions with the Planning Commission, Mr. Williams from Bowman, there's no plans at all to make that 4 lanes. And so that we didn't see any reason to do anything. So we did that, which allows us to keep the frontage, the way the building's set up and so forth, in its proper location. You know, obviously what we're hoping, the township, is that this upgrades that area. It leads a little love and tender care, so to speak. And by us doing the frontage, we're going to have the landscaping, the sidewalks, and things of that nature. We think that'll improve the overall image in that area, and, slowly but surely improve that whole situation. The only areas, Mr. Fixler, about the question about the widening is where we tie into the adjacent Cricket Drive. As we leave our property, we have to tie into where the pavement is. And so that narrows down a little bit. The same thing on the far western side of Prospect Avenue. We tie them back to existing. But otherwise, we're providing the full widening that we had a good discussion. This sketch up here, you'll notice there's a little bump out on Plainbrook. And we agreed to, that's because that's where the inlet is, but talking with township staff, they would prefer that we put a new inlet in and put it out along the curb line and keep a straight curb line, and we agreed
Wow, okay.
So, as Mr. Bronner said, from the Planning Commission meeting, the only real items that were outstanding were some traffic stuff. We've worked out most of them now. We understood we weren't going to come tonight and ask for approval, but we had addressed them with Mr. Williams ahead of time. We sent it over to him and worked it out. The only item remaining is a discussion on traffic impact fee, which our engineer, we had a call with our engineer, Mr. Horner, Mr. Williams and myself talked about that, because this is an unusual use. We're trying to piece together where it fits within the ITE manual and so forth, and so we're still working on that. We just sent something over today, and we thought that we'd hopefully be able to resolve that. What we could do is put two things. One is we'll make sure to bring an exhibit showing what the exterior will be. I'm sorry, I should have done that.
All right.
Two is we'll have made a submission right away to the township finalizing these changes and allow Mr. Williams to send us a notice, that I should say us, to everybody.
Sure.
Explaining that the traffic, we've now reached consensus on those things.
Okay.
So we're excited, to be honest with you. I know it's been a long time, and the Side Temple community has been gradually assembling these parcels with, I think, a discussion with the township on how do we improve this, gradually acquiring these parcels to make this improvement. So we're excited about now the whole idea of taking everything down and getting something up is really
Sure.
I think it's a great, it'll be a great improvement to that area of the township, no question.
And like we said, doing those roadway improvements and working that all at those details makes it, and then hopefully sets the table for anything else.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what would be your timing for construction on this? Any
And behind
idea?
me staring at his guys, and he says, "You don't get approval next month, you're in real trouble." So they're looking to start immediately after.
Right away, okay.
Candidly, what they want to do is get approval. The first thing they can do is move on demolition,
Sure.
but they don't want to take those buildings down for the obvious reasons until they know the approval.
So you have approval, sure.
Demo would start right away,
Sure, that's common.
which would be great if we move that out.
My thought is, again, I'll reiterate from Peter's comment, I think it's what I've heard, seen on a limited basis. This is an improvement in this area, and we look forward to, having you folks be part of the community. But my only concern is, I'd like to see this go forward on a preliminary, not a final approval. And I'd like to see the design and the traffic information.
Is the only traffic issue the amount of the fee? Not the,
Literally nothing.
not the design?
I don't know what to say. Candidly, it catches me off guard. There's
Sure.
literally nothing left here.
Right,
We are completely comfortable with, I believe the consultants and us are all on the same page. There's nothing else to do.
there'll be no plan revisions needed, just
Yeah.
agree?
Literally, the only things left are those little details, like where that inlet bumps out. I have to show that, and I have to show the pavement in the area of like the tying in and Prospect Avenue shifted a little bit. If it's not done, it would be done tomorrow type of deal.
Right.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, boy. Oh,
Ah, look at that.
the EMS has already left.
What happened? I got all upset over the,
Sorry.
oh, this is,
I'm the one that asked the question.
Yeah, that's right, I know, yeah.
I'll give Greg a moment to, I don't know if compose himself is the right word. He's pretty composed right now.
Maybe he
He's
could
just
take a
bleeding.
break and we could speak with the engineer.
Yeah, so I would say
That sound fair?
there is a revision required. I think we've looked at concept plans, we've circulated what those modifications would look like, where the crossing would happen, how much is widened, but likely there would need to be a resubmission just to confirm that everything's been satisfied. So we can confirm sort of sequence of things. We could certainly begin drafting a resolution if the board is interested in keeping any aspect of this moving. But to Scott's question on, or comment rather, on preliminary versus final, I think to Greg's point, once some of these revisions make their way onto the plan, there's probably not a whole lot to outstanding, so I guess if there's anything specific that you're concerned about, I'm happy to dig into it or elaborate. I
My
know
specific
we don't-
concerns are with Prospect Avenue and the concerns in the fire marshal letter, if they are those concerns are going to be met, so that the fire apparatuses can get through there properly, if the road is going to be wide enough.
Yeah, we're
I'm
definitely
not quite
doing that.
understanding what I'm reading in multiple letters, and that's where my concerns are.
Sure, rightfully so. And it's in that area. Fire hydrant is between the entrance on Prospect and Plainbrook, and we were definitely going to make sure that that was the 26 feet, I believe, is what the requirement is in that area. That's what we would need.
And just for that area, and the rest of the road is good at 20 feet.
Right. You have to tie back to the, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's good, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure our fire apparatuses can get in there.
I was a volunteer EMT and paramedic for 10 years, so
Excellent.
I'm always into hearing what they need to take care of.
Sure.
I've spent a long time in that field, so happy to come.
My one other comment would be, if I may, you'll like this one, Scott. To the Land Concepts comment on switching out the white oaks with the black gums, I'm sure you guys have no problem with that.
That is not an issue.
Okay. I did appreciate that observation by Land Concepts, or David.
I don't have a problem with the preliminary final. How soon can a updated submission be made? It sounded like within days almost?
Yeah. It will be.
Okay, right, okay.
And we sent sketches, so we've done this on CAD. We
Right.
just need to put it on the primary set.
Right, okay.
And then we have had conversations with Chris. We had 3 conversations with Chris in the planning commission meeting, so Chris has been great in accommodating.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've done preliminary final with similar situations. The issue is whether we authorize the solicitor to start the resolution, I guess.
That was our
That's
hope.
my, right. Would like to see the elevation, and I guess you can get that to us.
That is
Well,
definitely.
we actually
away.
have that, because like I
Right,
said, it's the
sure.
one we did, so I will
Sure.
forward it to
Right, we'll get
Zach
that.
so that he can distribute right away.
Right.
And if I wasn't bleeding all over the place. Seriously. I'm doing this since '83, this is the first time. Anyway,
I mean, I would say too, if you have it handy in your email, I can certainly try to bring it up. I think the fact remains, I know these are, if the comments are, there will comply, I do think there needs to be a resubmission so that they can be confirmed. I think maybe just to translate a little bit, what Greg's saying is he's fine with all the comments that have been outlined.
Right.
And what I'm saying is they still need to make their way onto the plan before they're approved, so. Yeah.
Okay.
but while he's sending it, I'm gonna go watch my hands. That's all right.
Fair enough.
Okay. Come back.
So I'll just scroll up. The Plainbrook Road facade with Prospect sort of to the left here. The floor plan, you can see the overhang, the entryway. And then this would be the north facade, so, you know, headed away from Route 30. You can see the overhang here and the decorative features. So this is the first floor plan and the second floor plan.
Very nice.
The one clarification is just with them moving forward for the whole design, the site grading, the side elevation there is no vehicle drop off under that overhang. It's just simply now just going to be an overhang on the building, like kind of like just a canopy.
That's too bad. They're not going to have it like a rainy day drop off?
Unfortunately, the site grading constraints didn't allow for the drive-through drop-off.
Understood. That's too bad.
Are the windows we see here also on the other side of the building, the same design?
Same on the other side.
It's a lot of glass. That won't be cheap.
Plenty of light in there.
That won't be cheap.
But it will be nice looking.
Yeah, all right.
The main services, are they Thursday night?
Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you expect how many participants?
Depending on how much room we have, according to that, will be multiple services then, special functions, how many people attend. It's really depending on it, how many we can allow, how many our police can handle, and how much parking we have, according to that.
So what would be the maximum occupancy of that building? Do you know what that would be?
600.
600.
I think that's what we found for the chair. I don't have exact number right now. We architect got it. They're just gonna calculate the parking and all that.
Okay.
Just say on like from the
Traffic.
standpoint.
Traffic question. Exiting at the end of a service, is there a restriction on right turns out? Gonna have to prevent cars from snaking through, is it Frame Avenue all the way to Route 30? Or everybody has to go left and go right or left onto Plainbrook? I can see a lot of cars going, but I don't know if the zoning hearing board addressed that or the traffic eye. No?
Right now, they're just full access driveways.
Right. Would you be okay with restricting right turns out after the service to force everybody onto Plainbrook to avoid having to go through that residential neighborhood there? Yeah.
Rich, just so I'm clear, you're saying don't take a left out of the northern, we'll call it, if I can find my,
He's going Prospect. He doesn't want to turn right down Prospect.
so don't turn right down Prospect to go towards 30, okay. Now, you weren't talking about taking a left out here to cut through to get to, because this actually would
No.
connect to Frame? Okay.
No,
just
that's
wanna
right,
make sure.
no. Even me, no. Other than that, and if the resubmission generates clean letters, I'm okay with moving it forward.
It's a bit of a tight turnaround for you guys and for us, but I think it's possible to have the plans re-reviewed in advance of the May meeting. But I leave that to you guys. I mean, there has been a lot of coordination. I've talked with Chris, they've talked with Chris, so there has been a fair amount of coordination since this was actually reviewed. I can't guarantee we'll have a clean letter back, not knowing when the plans will be resubmitted, so. If you're comfortable with it conceptually, and it's just a matter of verifying that they have complied with all of those comments, then that would be fine. I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't, but I want to give our guys time to confirm everything as well.
Even if there are ministerial items in a review letter, until all conditions in all review letters are met, the plan doesn't get recorded, correct?
Yeah,
Right.
we often approve things with
Right.
minor cleanup items. That would be no
Right.
problem, but
Right. And in order to start construction, the plan has to be recorded. Right.
yes, and
Sure.
we'll include a condition to that effect.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm satisfied with some of that discussion and being able to see the elevation. That was a help. My final question is, besides the three main services, I would assume your facility will there'll be a lot of functions the other 4 days of the week? Or,
We have some classes, related classes or university science sometime. We just started.
yeah,
On the weekdays, some people doesn't want to come on the weekend. They want-
right.
There's just not really that.
Thursday, Saturday, Sunday are the main days.
Right. Again, my only other thought is just the fact that Plainbrook is such a narrow road and it's tight and narrow, and that's quite a bit of traffic coming onto that all at the same time. To see the Bowman letter would be, I think, important on the front end.
Just as a point of clarification, you're operating as a temple right now out of the building that's there. So there's a lot going on there already, so that's a background for it. Obviously, it's going to improve the situation significantly, but this is not a totally new use that we don't have an idea of what's the patterns are going on.
Well, the footprint is sizably different under these plans versus the township, the old township building that you're using. So I don't know how many people you get in there at your services right now, but I'm sure it's not close to 600 going forward.
Well, we do the 600. We're in a big time for Christian religions right now, and suddenly there's a lot of attendance that goes on there, and then the majority of the time the 600 seats aren't. So I'm just saying we have an idea of what's the pattern, how often they use it in general influx of those folks. So that was taken into account in the traffic study. Chris, Joanne, and Dave Warren were talking about the study for exactly how they want to do the count, what was going to be taken into account, what manual they were looking at, how they were looking at it. So they have been in close communication. This goes all the way back. The issue of traffic was an important part of that discussion. This was a special exception.
They define the scope from the very beginning.
Very,
Right,
very,
yeah, right.
right. Because we knew we had to have it. It's better to have it in special exception, making sure it's taken care of there, than wait until later and someone say, oh, we certainly use it, you step it in the property. They work that out.
Can somebody just, maybe to ease my concern and residents' concern that I receive through emails, is just what widening of the road is going to look like, and some turn areas that are going to be what type of road improvements are going to be occurring around there to handle the 600 potential?
So I don't have a version of this to flash on the screen up there, I'm sorry, but the red lines, this is what we talked through with Bowman in their letter. So this is the part here for on Prospect that gets widened, same with here, and then there's a transition part here that connects back to the existing but provides the minimum 20 feet where McKenna's tying out along Plainbrook here, Plainbrook. This part, it provides a minimum from the center line of the road to the curb line, the 14 feet that's required per the township ordinance. The only portion where it goes under that will be this section here, just because we have to connect back to the existing pavement here at Cricket Drive.
Once this is up, how will you continue to use the old fire company building?
That is just going to be used for education, like classrooms. So the main worshiping will be out of the new building.
One of the items that's in the Bowman letter is to create a better crossing and alignment of the driveways for the existing. So what it will look like on the right side of the screen there, there'll be those head-in parking spaces will be removed. The driveways will be lined up better, and there will be a pedestrian crossing to better create a better interface between the two, since there will be some crossover.
Zach, one other thing, Sky Temple's agreed to, there's an existing sign on the corner. We're going to pull that back so that we can have a cross connection there, so that if anything in the future occurs, it's already taken care of. So we agreed to shift the sign away. You see the sign's right on the corner, and that wouldn't allow a crosswalk to come over. And just trying to make this all work, we said we'll shift the sign over down Prospect a little bit, and that way tie in, see a little ramp. So that way, hopefully the goal would be, continue the improvement of sidewalks up as changes occur along that frontage. We'll have set it up so that they don't have to go back and redo anything. So we agreed that with Chris as well.
Thanks for entertaining all the questions. Appreciate it.
Sorry for my...
That's okay, just feel better. Okay. That's okay. That's okay.
My age groups,
I know how you feel.
All right, well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah. So I would make a motion to authorize the preparation of the resolution. And, for preliminary, final, and expect plans to be resubmitted, reviewed, clean letters, and go from there.
Have a second.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So.
Thank you very much.
All right. Zach, when information comes in from Bowman, Chris, I'd like you to maybe get together with Zach or take a look at, review it, just from your perspective in terms of traffic, and if there's anything unusual you see. That area the roads are so narrow, and so being cautious.
It is tight now with numbers, like we've had complaints on that Thursday night let out. So I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, just what you said. However, I also don't know what 600 people look like. I don't know what it's going to be at, it's going to be at 8 o'clock at night or 6:30. It makes a big difference there. I'm not real big on sending everything to Route 30. I mean, there's a lot of their community members live north of that location, so they're going to want to come out and make a left. So those are things that I think we should look at and see, based on a time, whether we should allow that but 600 people's a lot. If they're really going to have 600 people, that's going to be a lot.
Even if you divide that by 3, that's a lot of people.
Excuse me?
Even if you were to divide that by 3, say there's 3-person families in one car, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and it depends on how, do they all come out? And a lot of times, after worship, people stand around and talk and things like that. Yeah. So it's not like a baseball game where everybody comes out and runs out to their car and starts beeping their horns because they can't get anywhere.
Yeah, when we get the plans in, we'll circulate them back to the Police Department and Public Works to make sure that they're satisfying all those types of concerns and all the stuff that's been talked about in between some of these submissions.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. All right, Zach, you ready for a...
Sure. So this one is to provide an extension on the preliminary plan for this project just around the corner from here, actually. We're going to be talking about this actually under item E. They've offered, just briefly, they've offered an extension through April 30th just to kind of get us through this meeting because it was set to expire around now. I think based on the conversation we just heard and probably what we'll have down here 2 items down, in speaking with their attorney earlier today, they'll likely authorize a longer extension. This was kind of sort of a stopgap to get us to this meeting. So with that, I think we can accept the April 30th extension, but it may ultimately be extended further out here, even this evening.
Okay. No problem with that. Any public comments on that?
So we do need an extension beyond April 30, you're saying, right?
Yeah, I would accept my thought process, and Mr. Christakis can feel free to chime in, would be to accept the April 30th extension. And then once we talk under this item 6E, we can determine whether, something further into the summer is warranted so that plans can be resubmitted. This was really just a stopgap, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but we'll definitely need an extension beyond April 30 because this is April 15th, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
just checking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, believe it or not, we are saying the same thing. I'm sorry if that wasn't clear. Yeah.
That's fine. Okay.
So why don't we just call for a further date than April 30th?
Yeah, to be safe now, right? At least May?
It will be at least May.
Okay, all right.
Are you okay if we just go ahead and change the wording to May 30th?
I don't see why not, yes.
Okay, all right.
So, subject to, we may want more time after the talk later, but yes.
Oh,
But I want that in writing. Can I get that in writing from you?
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
okay.
Because they offer the extension.
They offer it,
If
right,
they
right,
wait,
and
you don't pick it.
right.
So I need that in writing from you.
Right.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'm just being a bully and asking for 30
Yeah.
more
Well, you
days.
can be bullied, but I need the
I know.
Oh, sure, you got to get in writing, yes.
Go ahead.
All right, so I would make a motion to extend the time for LD 13/2024 for the Prospect Avenue Road Extension Preliminary Plan until May 31, 2025.
I'll second that.
I second that, or you've already seconded, so. All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
I guess subject to, well, these, in writing from the applicants,
We'll get it.
or,
I know where he works.
you know where it works? Okay. Right around the corner?
No, but just as
Okay.
just as effective.
I think there's a private joke there I'm missing. Anyway, okay. So do you want to go to E? Do you want to jump to E? All right, one.
So 6E here is an offer of, or a request rather, for the board to consider acceptance of an offer of dedication for a previously constructed road. This is Prospect. There's various sections of this that were built at different times, so I think Mr. Christakis is going to walk us through here their request, and we can talk about sort of the board's appetite for which portions of this road to accept and how to proceed from here.
So thank you, Mr. Barn. Just have a couple of handouts here that might make things a little easier to understand. This is an excerpt from the plan that Mr. Barn prepared.
I can put up on the screens as well. Yeah, very good.
All right, so just to orient you, Plainbrook Road is to the right on the plan, Route 30 is at the bottom of the page there. Prospect Avenue is comprised of the blue, yellow, and the red areas. That's what Prospect Avenue is all about. It is. The blue portion is dedicated to the township, open and available for public use. The red and yellow portions are owned by one of my client entities. Okay, so what we're here to talk about is not really the blue section, it's the yellow and the red section. The original plan, approved in the 60s, predates the MDC, probably was not done in accordance with what we would consider modern development standards. But we're in a position now to resolve the problem, basically fix it. My clients, through various entities, as I mentioned, own the yellow and red roadway parcels, so to speak. They also own the 3 unbuilt parcels to the north side of the yellow road, at the west side of the plan. Just for ease of reference, I'm going to call them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, starting from the left. You can see 2 and 3 are page. That's the first thing I mentioned. So parcel 4 and parcel 5 are already constructed. They're using basically existing pavement in the yellow area to access the rest of Prospect Avenue. The original plan seems to have been that the developer was going to pave that entire section of Prospect Avenue as well as the blue section that did get paved. The blue section obviously was dedicated to the township, was offered and accepted by the township, but the yellow and red portion is never run. So one option would be for my clients to build out a private public street basically in the yellow portion that would serve 5 units. That would have access to that public road and offer for dedication to the township. It's going to be very challenging because of the constraints here. The width is very narrow. Candidly, whatever solution we come about tonight or in the future, it's going to have to be approved by the fire marshal and the township engineer. But it's going to involve waivers. There's no way. There's just not enough space in the house. So in discussing it with staff, this was a bit of a head scratcher both for staff and for our firm. Staff came up with this approach, which would involve the subdivision of the red portion from the yellow. The red portion would be offered for dedication to the township. The yellow portion would be constructed more as a private driveway to serve the 5 units that are north of the yellow section. So That's kind of the broad concept. As I said, the specifics of how, of what the road profile would be, widths and so forth, we understand there's going to be a fire hydrant placed somewhere in the yellow parcel. We would do all of that. It's just a matter of we need kind of preliminary instruction how the township wants to proceed, because the two plans would be very different if we do have to account for the use of full Prospect Avenue. Just one other point of interest here, all 5 of those parcels have a recorded interest in the use and maintenance of Prospect Avenue, which is actually the yellow and red parcels. All 5 of them are on the hook for splitting maintenance evenly among them for the driveway. So to the extent that we followed this approach, it would probably be equitable, right? Because that way, those 5 units would not be paying for additional space that they're not actually using, and the public would be responsible for the rest of Prospect Avenue, which is kind of a condition that, as I understand it, is being used now. The township would probably speak better to what maintenance is occurred there and so forth. My understanding is it's almost been treated sort of like a township road to begin with. So that's, we just need feedback. That's what we're asking for tonight, is which way you'd like us to proceed. Whether you'd like us to build out the entirety of Prospect Avenue and offer for dedication, or pursue this plan with staff seeing the dedication portion of it.
What say you, John?
Well, we've treated the red section as township owned forever. So we've been maintaining that. I'd have no problem taking the red, leave the yellow as a private driveway. So,
Okay.
Sold.
good. There you go.
I just still want to mention one more thing, because it may appear on the plan when it comes back to you for reference. There's a thinking now that we may make the yellow parcel a flag to the furthest parcel to the left, to the west, so that it's actually owned by one of the homeowners rather than a third-party owner who's not present on the street. That's another item that we may incorporate into the next revision, and to the extent you had thoughts or feedback on that, we'd like to hear it so that if we can incorporate it.
You're saying parcel 1?
So parcel 1, correct.
Okay.
The yellow parcel would be reverse subdivided into parcel 1, such that it's an option. We want to get your feedback on it, whether you prefer a shared driveway or a separate parcel with a sort of private street on it.
What jumps off at me at that is administratively, that would be the easiest way to handle it, but what if, what if resident 1 has a beef with all of the other people and decides to limit the use to only his vehicles and not the others? Then those people are landlocked and can't get in and out. That's a problem, right?
Then you're in court. Candidly, I've been a land use attorney in Chester County long enough, I've seen this both ways, so that's why I'm asking if the township has a preference. Yes, it's true that you could have the unit 1 owner express their full property rights and try and exclude others. It's going to be pretty tricky since there are other driveways that are tied into it and recorded. There would have to be a recorded maintenance agreement that expresses their access to it and so forth, beyond what's already there.
Why can't each landowner own the portion of the road proportionally with the other up to their driveway?
We could do it in sort of a condo-ish fashion.
Right.
Establish something like
Right.
HOA. That's the feedback I'm asking for. That's something the township would be comfortable with. It's a little bit of an unusual condition that you wouldn't have someone who uses that driveway own the driveway. Because the converse, the hypothetical you raised is, what if unit owner 1 says, forget it, I'm not maintaining it? Let you guys do it, right? And now they have to have access to the parcel in order to have their snow guy come in and remove whatever's there, that kind of thing. So there's trade-offs either way. It's just a question of whether there's any preference from the township about how to approach it. And it sounds like there isn't necessarily a preference either way.
Well, yeah, my preference is definitely not to give 100% ownership of this road to landowner 1.
Okay.
That's a recipe for issues.
Very well.
And this gentleman and his staff will be the one spending most of the time on that road handling arguments, not you. So to answer your question, one is outdoor,
Okay,
all right, is my opinion.
that's good, that's helpful.
Peter,
Just a
Rich, I mean,
question,
again,
what if you did the opposite?
Yellow, go ahead.
I was going to say, what if 3 owned the land and the 1 and 2 take access across so that the first property owner couldn't obstruct the others in a sense?
There's no configuration that doesn't have some.
A drawback, right, yeah, okay.
No matter what, but having it as a separate parcel, entirely, they just all have some common interest.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
So yellow is not intended to be dedicated, only red, and blue already is.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's because yellow cannot meet township specifications for a dedicated road?
The yellow space, it could probably be made to meet with some waivers specifications, but you can see the turnaround at the end is going to be a little bit of a headache. It's going to be challenging with that. So having it as a private driveway.
And the fire group will determine where a hydrant needs to be, right? Whether in the middle or whatever, it's got to be able to reach, right? Okay.
Yeah, Greg and DJ have reviewed both this plan and the one that was discussed earlier, which essentially abuts the red part of this. There's been discussions on width relative to fire code, placement of hydrants, things like that. So there's been a round of reviews or 2 with the fire marshal, Arrow, and Bowman. So we're trying to make this all fit together with this odd ownership scenario. But yeah, there's been rounds of reviews already on that.
I may have missed the boat on this, but currently, okay, so fine. How is the ownership of the road titled at this point?
So red and yellow parcels are in, I believe the name is Prospect 19355 LLC. Yes, yellow and red are one parcel present.
And who is the who's the owner of that LLC, or who are the officers?
So 2 of the principals are here with me tonight. Mr. Taylor and Mr. Rom are here.
Okay. I don't know. My other point is, I'm not sure it's our responsibility as far as trying to tell you how to sort this part out in terms of, potential down the road, but.
So, for example, one of the township ordinances limits the number of single-family units that can be served from the driveway. So to the extent the township wasn't inclined to grant that waiver, it's helpful for us to know, and that affects the way we design it basically, so that we comply with what
Okay.
the township is anticipating as far as waivers are concerned.
I think the threshold question is the township willing to accept the red portion, which, as we've talked about, we're basically already operating under that assumption, but that in and of
That's
itself.
the easy part.
Well, yeah, you would think. But that's sort of like question number 1, and the rest all kind of fall off of that. There's a number, as Ari said, a couple different ways you could handle the yellow portion, but we need direction on the red portion just to be able to have them, move back towards.
I think the 3 of us are in
Drafting.
agreement to the red.
We're
To
in
take
agreement.
dedication, we're okay with that aspect of it.
Just out of curiosity, the 2 owners that are currently there, have you talked to them yet?
I don't know. I don't.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this actually is helpful because now we know how to proceed legally with the structure. We know what to tell them about maintenance and so forth going forward. This is helpful. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, Peter, I'm gonna make a,
Not really a motion just yet. We're going to have to, we can definitely note that. There's nothing that's been drafted in
Oh, it's
terms of like
just
the deeds of dedication, the legal descriptions and things like that. Really just looking for feedback. So there'll be another action on the township on an agenda in the future.
Yeah, we realize it's kind of like a subdivision, because we're taking, it's odd, this whole thing is odd. Yeah.
It will be a subdivision.
Yeah.
Because we'll have
To subdivide the, yep.
Do let us know how you decide to. I'd be curious in case we ever encounter this again.
Township.
I hope we don't either. And, yeah, all right.
We'll need to make sure, and you also already know, that the right documentation is going to have to be in place to define rights and responsibilities for repair maintenance, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
sure.
part of the ordinance and we expect that.
Sure.
This is a comparatively easy one, I think. These are for two projects that Vanguard completed in the last few years. One was the connector road that essentially ties that campus here at what they call their Malvern West campus into the portion of their properties, their holdings in Tredyffrin. It was built a couple years ago. We had them post financial security. It's been inspected, found compliant. We've reviewed the as-built. So now we're just looking to authorize release of that bond. It's just been on the books for a couple of years, and it came up for renewal, so we've been coordinating with Vanguard in recent weeks on
I'm
that.
recommending Vanguard puts the $3 million into CrowdStrike at this point in time. Oh, we're not supposed to.
Yeah, right.
Investment things.
Phase 1 office building, that's the one that was built and finished years ago,
A couple of
right?
years ago, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I think they're
okay, all right.
just looking to clean up their books, essentially. They just were never fully closed out. So same thing. Completed a couple years ago. We've reviewed the as-built. We've inspected everything to make sure it was built per plan, and there's no issues with releasing the letter of credit as well.
Peter, you want to
I'm on it.
call it?
I'd like to make a motion. We'll do one at a time here to
How do you leave $3 million?
release the financial security for Vanguard Malvern West Connector Road in the amount of $264,188.35.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and passes.
I'd like to make a second motion to release the financial security for the Vanguard Malvern West Phase 1 office building in the amount of $3,140,736.69.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And also passes. Moving on. John Mateo?
Thank you,
Zoning?
Mr. Chairman. We have one application on for the month of April. It's Zoning Hearing Board 2025-02. It's the application of Malvern Educational. It's located at 43 Lancaster Avenue. The property is in the OBPS, Office Business Park Services District. What the application is doing is requesting a variance from the standards of the zoning ordinance, where in all actuality, the zoning ordinance requires them to maintain a 50% impervious coverage. Of course, it's a long-existing non-conforming property there, so they're taking what is presently a 69.7, and after even making improvements, lowering the impervious coverage to 69.4. That is the old Friendly's property.
I personally don't see a need to send the solicitor.
Oh, I agree. It's, be nice to get that building reused. And that's the current condition there, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
My issue on this, I like the idea that it's being rehabbed into something, but the area that I have a concern is pertaining to traffic I am not excited about the median cut that's going to cause or allow a left turn into the property heading east. The two travel lanes on on Route 30 at that time of the morning probably are going to be somewhat utilized for people going to Vanguard and 29 and 30. And I'm just concerned that a backup making a left, even though there is a median change, may cause a backup onto the travel lanes on Route 30. So I have I just see problems from that standpoint.
Understood, Mr. Chairman. So I can introduce myself. My name is Leonard Altieri. I'm an associate in the law firm of Claire Harrison, Harvey Brandsburg in Center City, Philadelphia. We are the attorney for the applicant. Your point, Mr. Chairman, is very valid. I think it's more something to be discussed in the planning commission as we go through land development, as opposed to necessarily what we're discussing with regards to the zoning here, more than the zoning relief that we're presently in for the township with. But again, I mean, it's something that we'll keep at the top of our head as we continue to move forward with that. I'll have a traffic engineer relook at that area to see if there's anything that they think that they could change in order to kind of address your concerns. But
Well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry to cut you off, but has PennDOT given their approval to that left turn lane, or is that still under review by them?
I believe they had previously approved a break in that median. I'd have to confirm whether that actually went through a few years back, just like shortly after I started. Yeah, so I believe they approved a break in the median. What they're requesting in response to some initial comments from our traffic engineer is to submit to PennDOT to get their blessing on this before they resubmit or before they submit a formal land development application. So they had submitted a sketch. We provided comments from our various consultants, including McMahon or Bowman. What Bowman had requested, among a couple of other tweaks, was to increase the length of the stacking area in that left turn lane. So in order, let's just say order of magnitude, I have the plan with me, but I don't have the numbers. Let's just say right now it's shown as 75 feet of stacking to make that left turn. That would hold about 3 cars. What they're requesting is something more like 125 feet, which would hold 5 cars. What's shown in their traffic study is they're anticipating 33 trips, or 33 left turns here during the morning peak hour. So that's average of 33 over the course of an hour. So like 1 every 2 minutes or so. Obviously they don't just happen all nice and orderly, 1 every 2 minutes right on cue, but there should be enough room in the stacking. But to your point, I would think any of the comments in this McMahon, or the Bowman letter rather, should be factored in as they move forward.
This is all very preliminary, what we're speaking of now. They're just in seeking the impervious coverage.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to provide a little bit of background.
Not work out. These are all steps in their process for applying for that land development, correct?
that's correct. I mean, the use is permitted in the district. We are seeking the zoning relief with regards to the impervious coverage. Everything else would be addressed during land development.
Understood. Yeah, I have no problem with the...
Always like to be
solicitor
up front and,
No, absolutely.
you know,
I do have
Point
just a
out the
curiosity
issues.
question, if I may.
Yeah.
Is the applicant planning on renovating the structure or tearing it down and building
Yeah, so
new?
what it's going to be, it's going to be a complete tear down. So what they're proposing to
Excellent.
construct, I apologize, I don't know, do not have the.
Oh, wow,
So
that's
what
great.
we're proposing to do is going to be a complete demolition and a complete redevelopment of that parcel. So essentially what we're proposing to do is a 2-story, 5,304 square foot daycare building. The subject property, as we now know, obviously is a vacant, previously occupied Friendly's restaurant. The subject property also is in the office business park services zoning district again, which is the use is permitted in that zoning district. As John said, what we're seeking to, it's an existing nonconformity with regards to the impervious coverage. We are still reducing the impervious coverage by about 128 square feet, but we're still over that 50% max. So that's why we're still making those a reduction of an existing nonconformity for somebody to come in for the zoning relief. In addition to the structure being placed there, and we'll get into greater detail of this, obviously, with regards to when we get into land development, but I will just steal this for a second. The existing site has 2 curb cuts, and what we are doing is we're closing the 1 curb cut, and so we're, making as we discussed earlier, it would be a left-hand turning lane from the main road right there, and then just a right out, so you're not going to be able to jet across the median. So the median is only a left in, you're not going to be able to traverse across, and then egress from the subject property will only be a right turn. Additionally, we're doing stormwater. There's not a lot of stormwater on the existing site right now, so we're going to be improving that.
Sure.
And that is essentially it in a nutshell.
Looks good. I mean, I think we all understand it hinges on the
Yeah, we have a traffic.
Route 30.
Sure.
That's it.
And I don't want to make it sound as if, saying it's land development, not zoning, that I'm not going to take that concern to the client, and we're not going to start addressing it now, but I just want to make sure that we are.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be good if we kind of look at it, address it, and have some backups. So.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right.
And then for updates, Mr. Chairman, where'd my note at? There we go. The Code Enforcement and Public Works Departments have been getting inquiries and complaints involving trees and vegetation that are creating hazardous situations, including decaying trees, vegetation sticking out in the right-of-ways and causing obstructions for the motoring public, bicyclists, and pedestrians. We'd like to remind property owners that they are responsible for the care and maintenance of trees and other vegetation on their property, and that responsibility runs from the edge of the roads in front of their properties to the property lines on each of their parcels. In the coming weeks, we'll be sending out warning notices to the properties that could be in violation, and we'll work with property owners to ensure all concerns are addressed through the growing season and hopefully maintained in the future. With this, we want to remind residents that they can report any concerns they have throughout the township by accessing the East Whiteland Citizen Request Portal, which is available on our website under How Do I, and all you have to do is click on Submit a Concern. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I understand this portal has been getting some activity, and I think it's a great tool. We need to probably continue to promote it. It's kind of real-time information to the staff, so that's really good. So in the event something happens, there's backup if if he's on vacation. There's other people manning it as well. I think
Is that available outside of the website, or just the website, or like?
Presently, the link's already on the website. I believe there's going to be a couple tweaks to it when we update our website in the near future.
I just meant is there
Yeah.
links to it through the Dandelion sites?
They're working on that
Okay.
stuff now, yes,
Oh, that
to
sounds
improve
good.
that access.
Because not everybody
Correct.
accesses websites.
Correct.
Okay. Do we, moving into public comment, any public comments out there? All right, so moving on to our very short consent agenda, which I'll read in its entirety, and then we can ask questions afterwards, okay? So approve the meeting minutes from March 13, 2025, ratify the payment of the bills in the amount of $1,442,290.70. The treasury report, and remove the open space property change of delinquent taxes, which is for the Atwater open space area, which was being billed by mistake for a period of time. So this is kind of a refund of that. So other than that, that's the shortest consent agenda I think I've ever seen. Any questions? If not, you want to make a motion?
None. Motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And at 9 o'clock, meeting is adjourned.
Can I get signatures?